It's great to see you all, but it's even better to see Director Homan. Leader Ord said it's cliche, but the cavalry has arrived. Laken Riley, a beautiful 22-year-old nursing student, someone at such a young age who had already dedicated her life to helping her neighbors, to making the world better. Savagely murdered in the prime of her life on a college campus in America. When I saw that as a father, I was horrified, saddened, and disgusted. How did it happen? Her murderer came into this country illegally through President Biden's open border. He was caught. The Democrats released him. Got away with crime one. Made his way to New York. Why New York? Because radical Democrats in New York, like Governor Hochul and others, Bill de Blasio in New York City, before this present mayor, said New York's a sanctuary. You're welcome. Make your way to New York. We're going to give you a free home, free clothes, free food, flat screen TV, cell phone, whatever you want. And don't worry, your neighbors, the people who are citizens here in New York, who are barely making ends meet, they'll pay for it all. So that's what he did. And then he was arrested for committing a crime in New York City. An unwelcome guest, but a guest here in our country commits another crime. He's arrested. ICE, federal agents, coming to get him. Sick, depraved leftist politicians in the state of New York said, hey, come with me, and opened the back door and secreted him out of New York. Made his way down to Georgia, and the rest you know. I think the people who did that have blood on their hands. Laken's Law. Here's what it says. And think about it when I talk to you about what it says. And ask yourself if you thought this was already the law. Laken's Law says that if someone is here illegally in our country and is arrested in New York, law enforcement has to notify ICE. Makes sense. But they don't, and they won't without this law. If you're convicted in a court of law in New York, the court has to notify ICE. Makes sense, but they won't and they don't without this law. If you're released from prison in New York after being convicted, the court system needs to notify ICE. They should, but they don't and they won't without this law. Could you imagine that this is not what's happening already in the state of New York? That there are people that are more inclined to help people committing crimes who are here illegally than protecting their own citizens. Director Homan, on Staten Island, there's a beautiful building on Father Capodanno Boulevard. This government, together with some Bolshevik non-for-profit home for the homeless, kicked seniors and veterans out of their homes so that they could put people who are here illegally in that building. And again, everything paid by the taxpayers. Private security, room service. People across the street, citizens, working 2 jobs. They call it compassion, the leftist Democrats. It's not compassion, it's disgusting. It's insane. So what has their policy done? They call it sanctuary city. I call it a criminal hideout. Except you don't have to hide, because they'll protect you. 4 years, President Obama. I know we get numb to these numbers, but these are sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. 400,000 Americans lost their lives because of the fentanyl that came across that open border. 30,000 New Yorkers in those 4 years lost their lives. 30,000 of your neighbors died because of these compassionate, sanctuary city, open border policies of the left. 30,000 of your neighbors are not with us anymore. Who else has come across that open border in the name of compassion? Terrorists, cartels, God knows who. God knows who. We know one of them took the life of a beautiful 22-year-old girl, a little more than a year ago. We need a change. This law will make sure that my daughters, your daughters, are safe from the animals like those who took her life. We need this law. Governor Hochul put her hand on a Bible when she took the oath. She swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of New York. Honor the oath. Put Lincoln's law in the budget. Make this the law of New York City. We live in a state where radical left Democrats in office have told the police department to stand down. When I was a prosecutor in Manhattan, you know what we called that? Obstruction of justice. No one could be this incompetent, so we know it's part of their plan. But if we keep the pressure on them, maybe they'll see the light. I think there's a certain poetry in the fact that while New York radical left elected officials were a big part of the problem in this country, two native New Yorkers, President Donald Trump and Director Tom Homan, are going and are fixing it and are going to be the solution.